welcome back. Today we're going to talk a little bit about operators and the importance of picking the right operator and knowing what operators are available. Some of the operators are completely necessary to use, all the time. Obviously, there's plus. Let's just write a few of them out here. Plus, minus, divide by, things like that. Those are just kind of the basic ones, which I'll assume most of you guys already know. So here's some of the more, I guess, less frequently used operators. If you have an if statement, let's just create a variable up here. So if we want to find out if x is less than 0 or something like that, that would be the operator that we would use. Saying it's not initialized anyway. So this is the less than. This would be the greater than symbol. Those are still kind of some of the basic ones. If we want to check to see if something is not, we can basically throw this right here. Obviously, you wouldn't want to do this in this situation because you'd have to actually put it inside of parentheses. So that's kind of looks goofy. That's generally, you wouldn't want to do something like that. You would, however, do it in case. So let's do this example here. Often, for example, let's just say if s is equal to double equals. Remember, that's checking for equality. Single equals is actually setting it equal to something. So double equals is equal to something like that. Another operator. So you would negate it by saying not equal to. So this you'd do for not equals to. So you can kind of think of the exclamation as a negate sign, or something that's not. So you can kind of think of it like that. The situations where this comes into handy would be something like follows. For example, if you want to say if string contains the word yes, then do something. But notice that you don't have access to this not equals to. So this is if it contains something. But what if you want to have this occur if it doesn't contain something? There's no way you can insert this not equals to like you can when you have two separate things to check. This, you're just checking it upon the object itself. So that's where this not comes into account, where you stick it in front. If s contains yes, not. So this is the inverse of contains. So if it doesn't contain yes, then do this. So that's where you might want to use those not operators. There's a couple more that I want to talk about. And this one's called the conditional operator. And this one right here is called the null coalescing. So the conditional operator is pretty cool because it basically, it's just like giving this if statement, but it's generally done when you have, if you're setting a variable and you want to set it equal to something, in one situation, if something's true, and otherwise set it equal to something else. So for example, if you said if x is greater than 0, then string, we're going to set string equal to true. Let's just say, just to prevent it from looking like a boolean, we set string equal to hooray, else, let's set string equal to boo. Okay, so this would be a situation where you would probably want to use this guy right here, this conditional operator. This is not a conditional operator, but basically, let's put this down here so I don't lose it. So this would be a perfect candidate for someplace where you wanted to use this conditional operator, because you can use it for like setting a variable. So for example, say you have a variable integer y is equal to actually, let's do it this way. So integer y is equal to, and then let's just say x is greater than 0. If x is greater than 0, then s is going to equal array. Oops. Otherwise, s is equal to boo. So this would be a perfect candidate for that. And we're actually, well, that's not a good example. So this is going to be an example right here. If x is greater than 2, I forgot, yeah, that's, we're setting this variable here, y. We're going to set y. So basically, we look at some true-false statement. We say, okay, is that true or false? If it's true, do the first thing. If it's false, do the other thing. So you could do the exact same thing with an if-else statement, but as you can see, it looks a little bit longer because you first have to declare this here, and you can say if x is greater than 0, then y is equal to 2, else y is equal to, what do we have, 6. Alright, so basically this block of code is the exact same as this block of code. It's saying that already exists there, but that's just because we reused it. But anyway, doing this one line is equal to doing that, and a lot of times it looks a lot simpler doing it this way, as long as you know what these mean. So that's a handy case for using the conditional operator, which is basically that and this together, this piece right here. So the null coalescing, a lot of times you want to check to see if something is a null value. For example, you might be doing a method and you might be bringing in, let's just get rid of this right here, you might be bringing some sort of object into the mix. So we might be bringing in this sender object, and we want to set sender equal to something else. We want to, let's just say we want to cast it to an int, because we know that it's an int. If we're passing it in from somewhere else, we're going to say, okay, we know it's an int, and we're going to set integer x equal to int sender. The problem is int can end up being null, and that might be okay if that's what we want, but if we want int to end up being some other value, like if sender comes in as null, we want this to end up being some other value, like we might want it to be 4 or something like that, or 0, or whatever. So that's what these null coalescing do. Okay, that brings me to another point. Integers can't be null. You're not going to be able to set an integer equal to null unless you do something that actually occurred in C# 2.0 and after. You can set integers to be equal to null. That's the reason why we weren't able to do that statement. But so let's just come back to that in a second. So basically, if sender is coming in as an object, so any reference type object, you're going to be able to do this to. You can do it to integers if you fix them up, but usually you don't need to do it to integers, because usually integers are going to be some sort of value. Okay, so if the object comes in, or even it doesn't even have to be, if it exists, I'm just showing this example here. and you want to set it equal, this object equal to that object. But if it's null, you want to set it equal to some other value. So that's why you would use these null coalescing, which is pretty nice, because a lot of times you have to check to see if something's null before you use it. This is just a way of picking whichever value is not null, which is really nice. Okay, so let's talk about integers not being able to be null, because it's going to actually, let's get rid of this here. It's saying that it can't convert null to int because it's a non-nullable value type. So value types can't be null unless you use the same operator, question mark, and now x can be null. So it's just saying that we're not using it, but it's a valid code right now because we added this question mark to it. So basically we're saying this is an int, I think. So that's how you can make value types null. Objects can be null, but value types can't unless they have that included.